We know 2000s reality television culture had some very questionable content, but what if I tell you that Black White is one of the most absurd reality TV shows to date? Hey guys, it's XLazyandriaX, and I used to make content on Instagram, but now I've switched over to YouTube, and the type of content I like to make are vlogs, talking videos, TV show commentary, and movie commentary. If you're new here, subscribe down below, and if you're not new here, welcome back to this channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the reality television show Black White that was aired in 2006, produced by Ice Cube. Now, this video may be quite different from my other videos. One, you guys aren't in the usual spot, and two, there's no extra lighting. Why? Because my ring light broke. Well, it's not that it broke. It's the thing that holds up my ring light broke, and ring lights aren't cheap. We're gonna have this set up for some time now until further notice. Let's just get into the actual video. So what is Black White? Black White is a reality show created in 2006, produced by Ice Cube, and these people go out into the world with white face and black face to see if they can see eye to eye with each race. In this video, I'm gonna be talking about the families, then I'm going to be talking about each week except for week 6 because it's kind of like more so of a reflective episode more than anything. And then at the end, I'm going to talk about everyone's development. I put character development in my notes, but the development they've made over the past 6 weeks. And I'm not going to be talking about every single moment that has happened in the show because there's just some things that are quite minor that doesn't really need to be mentioned. You can watch Black White on YouTube. All you got to do is look up Black White theme song and it'll pop up. So, and it's a whole playlist of the entire Black White series. The families. So we have the Sparks family, which is the black family, and their name is Brian, Renee, and then their son Nick. And they're from Atlanta, and their main reason to come on this project is to teach white people about black struggles. Like, they're not really even there to be in the white face. They just want to teach the white people that is going to be on the project with them about black struggles. And their son Nick, he kind of just got dragged into it. He is not like he necessarily wanted to be on the show, but you'd be surprised at how much Nick really needed to be on the show, more than what you guys think. Then we have the Wargles, which is the white family. But what's quite odd about this family is that they're not a real family all the way. Like Carmen and Rose, Carmen's the mom and Rose the daughter, real mom and daughter, but Bruno is an actor. It's quite weird. Like, I don't understand why the show did that. But Carmen and Rose's thing about being on the show is to see like firsthand what it's like being in a society where you are the minority. But it's quite different between Rose and her mother, because Rose is someone that really wants to understand the struggle of being black and learning how to be open-minded. Like, she wants to understand, like, she wants to get it down to a science, and she really truly in her heart really wants to change her mind and understanding on black issues. Like, she really wants to learn, which is good. Carmen, on the other hand, just really wants to experience being black without really understanding what it's like to be black. I think she just kind of likes the fact of being in the black face, which is very questionable. Like, she still wants to understand what it's like being black, but not as much as Rose does. Like, Rose really wants to get it down to a science, while Carmen kind of just doesn't really, it's like, if it throws my way, it comes my way. But Bruno, you don't understand how much I cannot stand Bruno. Bruno gets on my complete nerves. Like, Bruno literally gets on my nerves the entire time, you know, because Bruno's whole thing, he's like that white man that, you know, is like, he has to see it to believe it. He has to see if racism and inequality is real. Like, he has to see it firsthand in order to believe it. But Bruno, I'm just gonna speak about Bruno at the end, but right now we're gonna get into week 1 and what happened week 1. First week in the house, they meet each other and they get into their makeup and experiences what it's like being the opposite race. Separately, they're not like together as a group, you know? And they get into the building with a race relations persons, like later in the episode. This is when they're like their regular black selves and their regular white selves. Now, keep in mind that they're not always the opposite race. Like, sometimes they'll go out as black, sometimes they'll go out as white. It's kind of like more so a 50-50 thing. It's kind of, I'll explain it. You'll understand. So, but they're with the race relations person. I don't know why Bruno has this high wanting in wanting to say the N-word. I have no idea why Bruno wants to say the N-word so bad, but he says it multiple times too. in the meeting, because the race relations has sat the families down, talked to them about basically what they're going to be doing. And then there was a room full of black people, and Carmen and Bruno were in blackface, and then the room of white people where Brian and Renee were in whiteface. So someone in the black session had asked like the group, have they ever been called the N-word like in public? And Bruno, for some odd reason, just has to, he wants someone while he's in his blackface. Bruno's whole thing is that he really wants someone while he's in blackface for someone to call him the N-word. And so he makes up a fake story that he was a doorman, and then he's like, yeah, he called me the N-word. But obviously he didn't say the N-word. He said the whole word. I don't say the N-word. Just because I'm black doesn't mean I have to say the N-word. That word makes me very uncomfortable. So, no. Even before I came to Christ, and I used to cuss a lot before I came to Christ, the word that I rarely ever used was the N-word. It just, no, I hate using that word. He says it multiple times, and he, like I said, he really thought that was a perfect opportunity to say the N-word. And like when they get back to the house, this kind of causes a little bit of tension in the house, because they're like, Bruno, why would you say that? After that, they kind of start like going around the city in their opposite race, you know. And Rose actually gets into this poetry class, and Nick goes to an etiquette class. All the parents are experiencing opposite race. Now with this etiquette class Nick goes to, Nick is in his white face, but Rose goes with him, but Rose isn't in her black face. Rose is just regular white Rose. Week 2, Rose reveals to her poetry class that she is not black, she's white. And while everyone is like, really? Why you went? But they understood the project, because Rose basically explained the project to what they were trying to do. And I guess since it was 2006, they were like, yeah, okay. But one guy was not having it. He was like, that's disgusting. I can't believe I'm looking at you cry that black makeup off so we can see your white skin. He was not having it. Like, he was like, I can't believe you would do something like that, you know, try to deceive us and things like that. But you know, he kind of got a little bit over after a while, because like I said, everyone was understanding of what the project was doing. But for me, like, still, you're in a society, you don't do that. You don't do this stuff. Like, this is why this is the most questionable and absurd show on the entire planet. And then so Rose actually invites everyone to the house, but you know, Rose reveals her actual white self, and everyone gets shocked about that. So they're all doing like open poetry, and Carmen, for some odd reason, has the nerve to have a spoken word. Like, she feels the need that she needs to have a spoken word. Like, she feels the need that she needs to go up there and say, you know, she's just speaking, you know, she goes on the speech, and she calls one of the women in that room beautiful black creature. I grew up in predominantly white school, in predominantly like white areas. My area that I grew up in, my neighborhood, wasn't necessarily predominantly white. It was more so a little bit diverse, but I have grown up in white areas. And I'm gonna let you guys know, when white people say stuff like this, they think it's a compliment, and it's not. And Carmen, they think it's a compliment. This is the most backhanded, offensive thing you could ever say to anybody. And it shows, because in the house, everyone started getting very uncomfortable, except for Bruno, because you know, Bruno's ignorant. But it's like everyone kind of just gets very uncomfortable, and everyone just walks up and leaves. Like, even Rose was like, Mom, why'd you say that? Carmen doesn't think she's done anything wrong. She thinks she's been complimenting the black woman that she called beautiful black creature this entire time. And even Nick and Brian are like, you could have said beautiful black woman, beautiful human being, but black creature? Really? Real white people, when they say things like this, they really think they're saying some hot stuff. They're giving huge compliments. No, it's not a huge compliment. And so later, like, Brian and Renee are in the room, and then they're like, how would she like it if she said, you beautiful white creature? Like, you know, they're like that's questionable. Like, why would you say something like that? And Brian gets a job as a white man in his white face. And also later in that week, Renee also goes to like the bar where he works at, but in her regular black self. She's not in her white face, just to see, like, you know, the area, because the area that Brian got the job at was actually like an all-white neighborhood, all-white community. So Renee wanted to go see for herself and see if she can get some insight on the minds of white people. And basically, she is talking to this white guy, And this white guy is basically telling her, like, well, Renee is like asking him, like, you know, will you guys accept black people into this community? And basically the white guy is saying if they're whitewashed black people, then yeah. So if they're talking proper, they're not quote unquote gang banging. This is everything he's saying, but to sum it up, you know, if he's not gang banging or being violent, you know, and loud music, you know, think like he's like basically being quote unquote whitewashed and doing white activities, then they're welcome, you know. And Renee was like, I can't believe it, but I understand why, because she was like, even that white guy thought he was saying some good stuff. He wasn't. The whole show is very questionable. Let's move on to week 3.